Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? We're the American Red Devils, and we are previewing Manchester United's next match versus Real Sociedad, sir. Leg 2 of the Europa League, round of 16, against the side from San Sebastian that we were fortunate enough to see down in Basque Country a few days ago. We are coming off a big draw against the Gunners up at Old Trafford. Another big game at Old Trafford. We are hosting the Spaniards, and it should be a big game. So this is the season. I mean, this is it. This season has been miserable. This season has been a disaster. We got a new manager, but everything's gone wrong. Players getting injured. Obviously, the form is like off a truck, but somehow we're still unbeaten in Europe. Unbeaten in Europe. Can't believe you'll never sing that. And we have a chance to advance to the next round of a competition that would make or break our season. It would change our outcome. If we were somehow to pull off a Europa League win, it would change everything. We'd be $100 million richer. Ruben would have more cash to spend. Team would have some confidence. I'm not going to hit it myself. We're probably going to crash it on Thursday. How are we feeling, sir? Are you feeling up for this game?
Well, sir, ultimately, if United do win or make it to the final, we got to go to Bilbao. I mean,
back to Bilbao, baby. Back to Bilbao. Wife will love that, but it is worth the trip.
It would be any final is worth a trip for Manchester United. And look, we are sitting in the Landmark Hotel in London. We just got off the 2.5-hour train from Manchester. The draw, Arsenal, Manchester United, not bad. And then obviously started looking at the fixtures, going through the list. Got some big ones over the next month. We got Leicester. We got City.
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest.
Newcastle
as well.
Yikes.
So the league's stacking up to be pretty rough, but we do know that we're pretty mathematically safe from a relegation perspective. So it really comes down to Europa League. And if you think of those next 5 fixtures coming up, this game matters most. And it's a must-win for Manchester United because we need some hope. And if we win this game and we get into the quarters of the Europa League, it will reduce the pressure on those pretty hard fixtures coming up end of March, early April.
No, it's a good point because you're going to have more games, of course, right? We were looking at the possibility of going 1 game a week, which is good for training, getting players back to match fitness, and also with all the injuries. But at the same time, it's like you get knocked out on Thursday, that's going to make the rest of the season just pretty painful. We're not going to go on some run where we get some form that goes into the summer. I think it's going to be a season of just endurance and trying to avoid giant death blows that force Jim Ratcliffe into a rash decision that nobody wants to see. So this is huge. We have a real opportunity. They're gettable. I mean, they were gettable in San Sebastian. We looked really flat for large parts of that game. We still kind of edged them, even though they're just their handball. Same time, we've been poor at Old Trafford. We were better against Arsenal, but even that was sporadic, and it came in pockets of the game. So it's a huge, huge game for United. I don't know which United team's going to show up. I'm used to just a bunch of bluffers showing up, so that's probably what you get.
Hey, second half against Arsenal wasn't so bad. Can we continue the momentum? Again, another injury with Lenny Euro, so lots of questions to be asked, but still a big game for Manchester United at home at Old Trafford. Before we get into breaking it down, sir, quick PSA for the podcast. You like the American Red Devils, you want to support independent fan content, check out our YouTube channel, American Red Devils on YouTube. Search it up if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify. Let us know. Go to our YouTube. Comment below. Tell us how you listen to the podcast. There's tons of people listen on iTunes and Spotify. You haven't checked out the YouTube, please get over there. Let us know you exist in the comments on YouTube. Like, subscribe, support the channel. We just came out to Europe. We have great vlog videos for every single match we went to, sir. Glazers out protests, everything behind the scenes, ARD, just jumping around Europe, having a blast, watching some great football. Also, check out our store, American Devils store. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/American Red Devils. You can also leave iTunes reviews, sir. You want to tell them about it?
5-star reviews on iTunes and Spotify. It's a great way to support the pod. Helps us get found organically by other top Muppets like yourself. If you're listening right now, this is a season of endurance. And if you write a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, send a screenshot to americandevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I'll personally pick, package, ship some free ARD gear, send it right to your door anywhere in the world. Let's get into this game, sir. Let's get into the preview. It's Manchester United versus Real Sociedad. Like I said, Europa League, round of 16, leg 2 at Old Trafford, Thursday, March 13th, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. American Red Devils did this big hack. We missed daylight savings. They haven't really caught up yet, so the time is a little bit different than we're used to. We're not used to seeing 1 p.m. games, but they exist for a little bit of time. Like I said, it's at Old Trafford, where we just were, and that was also a tale of two halves, because United fans were so frustrated and so pissed off in the first half until Bruno Fernandes scored that free kick. And then when United showed some life, Old Trafford woke up, and I think Old Trafford's waiting. It's just that they have been let down by a bunch of bluffers for most of the season. So if we show up, I think Old Trafford will respond appropriately. Weather, let's check out the weather. Low 50s and sunny. It was really the nicest day we ever got in Manchester on the weekend. Where were we eating? Alex's Scram Watch. We're eating El Gato Negro. That was apparently Juan Mata's old spot in town. Tapas for our Spanish guests.
I think De Gea and Mata won 50-50 on the restaurant, too.
I think they did. I don't know how it worked out. They might have sold it. But apparently, decent tapas. Sir, what do you think about the Scran we've gotten on this trip thus far?
Pretty good. Alex's Scran Watch, just really starting it. That's on our YouTube channel as well, so go check it out. Alex reviews some meat pies, some dry croissants as well, some good food around London and in Spain and Lisbon as well. But let's talk about Real Sociedad, nicknamed on the pod as Real Sociedad. We kind of disrespected them. Then we went to San Sebastian. We went to the Real Arena. We saw the Real Sociedad fans, and they were really nice. It's a really great stadium, brand new, great atmosphere for a Thursday night in Europe. And San Sebastian, amazing town, great food. So not going to be calling them Sociedad anymore, sir. We have respect for Sociedad now, so I think we got to get rid of that. But again, we got to worry about Manchester United, sir. Obviously, the Basque region, famous for its food, famous for its tough footballers. You also know Unai Emery from the region. There's a lot of other players that are very famous. Griezmann as well came up.
Arteta.
And Arteta as well. So they're tough. And when VAR goes against us, it's going to be tougher. And so United need to come out strong, come out early, but we know what Real Sociedad is, sir. We got the history on the last podcast. They finished 6th in La Liga. They're currently sitting 9th. They're hurting. They're interested in this competition just as much as Manchester United. So tell us about the manager.
Manager, another past man. We talked about him the last time we previewed the pod. Emmanuel Alguacil, 53-year-old Basque coach, and he came up from the youth academy, which I think is great in terms of he was coaching the youth team in 2011, made it all the way up. Summer signings, we talked about it last time. They signed this kind of stud forward Icelandic kid, Ori Zirkzee, and then Lukas Sucic from Croatian from RB Salzburg. So a couple young talents as well as the Basque contingent that they have. Lots of promising youngsters.
No, we saw Oscarson come on as a sub. He almost scored against United. Onana actually stood tall on that opportunity. So they have a few different Zubamendi, Zakatarian, Kubo. Zakatarian, he actually featured in the Euros for Spain as well. So they're dangerous. But when we look at the game that we played them, they really had a lot of the ball, similar to Arsenal, had a lot of the ball but no teeth in attack, really. I mean, they couldn't get at us until the game opened up late in the second half. So I think with United, they need to play the same way we played against Arsenal, which is the low block, give them the ball. They're not going to be able to do too much with it. And we saw the counter with Maz and Garnacho. And by the way, we're going to have Dogu back coming in. So I think the game plan against Arsenal is exactly how you have to go against Real Sociedad at home, because it's the same team. They like the ball, and they have no teeth in attack.
Yeah, and obviously Arsenal's a better team, and they lost today. They played Sevilla and lost 1-0. But I like that approach because we don't have a lot of attack. We don't have a lot of good players on the counter right now. Because we're lacking speed, right? We got rid of Rashford. Ahmad is injured. It's really just Garnacho. Zirkzee and Højlund aren't the fastest two attacking players in the world. So, but they're slow. They're not Arsenal fast either. They don't have Gabriel at the back, so it's we can get behind them for pace, especially Dogu. Dogu's a unit. That was good to see in person at Real Sociedad. You could see why they signed him. Let's get back into that, sir. Player to watch. Who are we watching? Takafusu Kubu, he looked all right. He was one of their most exciting attacking players as well. Zubamendi looked good. And like I said, they play that 4-1-4-1.
Yeah, and Zakatarian, again, featured well. Oscarson, another one to watch. Ref, it's too early for the Europa League, but I know they're always going to throw curveballs, and we always have time. We always have issues with Spanish sides. But, sir, we should take a look at the Manchester United starting 11 from today against Arsenal and then see what changes that we might have, because that is going to be the biggest issue for Manchester United.
So I got that right here. We're pulling it up. Remember, so we had the Onana net, of course. It was, of course, it's English Wi-Fi
We had
is
Euro,
famous.
Lindelof.
Wi-Fi is the fantastic.
Sir, we had Lenny Euro, Lindelof, De Ligt, back three. We had Delo, Casemiro, Bruno, midfield, with Mazraoui on the right, Eriksen, Garnacho, and Zirkzee up front. Which, again, I think you need to go with the same 11 here and the same strategy. The only issue with Euro being out, Heaven is going to come in unless you get a Magoo or a Luke Shaw. But we know that Luke Shaw ain't coming back anytime soon. Meat pies are too good, sir. You can attest to that.
They're better. They stepped it up. The meat pies have improved at Old Trafford in a meaningful way. I'm making a couple more changes in my predicted 11. I think Maz is going to push back into that holding three. Lindelof will get hooked.
With Dogu coming in, yeah.
Yeah, Dogu comes in on the left. Delo switches to the right, and then I think Ugarte is back. I think that's why Casemiro played all day today. Because
You also have Koyer. Koyer with
is
his
he ready
minutes
for a full
against-
90? He looked good though. He looked
Koyer
good. His
with
energy level
minutes
is
against
great.
Arsenal should be ready for a full 90.
Or at least a 60. You could play
At least
60 minutes.
Yeah. I really rate Koyer, and he
Or
actually looked
Ugarte.
good pushing up the field as well. That was the best United looked against Arsenal. So look, the Zirkzee, Eriksen, Garnacho. By the way, Zirkzee got changed against Arsenal, and we looked the best.
Last
and
two
we
games?
created the
Yep.
most XG in the last couple of games. So as soon as we broke up Zirkzee, we saw something else. I think that was great for United. So Eriksen, Garnacho, Zirkzee is a must. The midfield's kind of a punt. Dogu coming in on the left, Delo on the right, and like you said, I think Maz, you're right on how he's going to deal with that back three. But regardless, we have a good enough team to beat Real Sociedad.
And we do. I mean, we almost took it to Arsenal. We out XG them. We didn't play as well. We played better against Arsenal than we played against Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad, we kind of muddled through the whole thing.
We commented on the Matchday vlog. We were like,
lack of quality.
This is
Lack
bad
of
football.
quality.
Today it was
Sporadic.
better, and the attack was much more there was more energy in the attack. I felt like when the crowd got into it, then they were closing down better.
Good. They're making the right runs. There were actually some encouraging
some good
runs.
passes.
No, that was good. It was much, but it wasn't. It wasn't the full 90 minutes. It wasn't even probably 45 minutes, but it was encouraging. So I have to agree with you. This team is very gettable. Real Sociedad. We should give them a lot of respect. Great club, great city, but we have a better squad, even with our injuries, that we have to be able to take it to them. So. Struggling to find odds predictions, sir. Give me a minute. I got this straight up, but predictions. Predictions are coming up thick and fast. Who do you think is going to be the man of the match for this game, sir? Who's going to be the player to watch?
Sir, no worries if you can't get the betting odds.
are doing it
Even though
live.
there's a Lad Brooks right across the street, we could probably go over there and grab him. For me, match prediction, Real Sociedad. This is a huge game. Big one for the manager, because I really feel like if you can win this match and get into the quarters, that gives the hopium to all the fans that there's a trophy on the way. And that way, if we struggle in the league a little more against these tough games, like the Newcastles and the Cities, it kind of gives you a little more rope. Where if you get bounced out of Europa League and then you go into this rough set of fixtures coming up and you don't play well, then it's going to be like hot seats back on, and I don't want that at all.
Also, you have a reason for players to want to get back to fitness. It's like there's an actual motivating factor for the Luke Shaws of the world to be like, all right, maybe I will put down the meat pie and get myself back on the training ground, because players want to play in cups. Players want to play in quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. So it's a big game for this club. It's a big game, like a big opportunity for Ruben Amorim to salvage the season, give us something to grab onto, even if we don't go on to win it. Just like if we can get a little further, it allows, it staves off the rot from sinking in, because if you get knocked out of this and we're just meandering around like the bottom half of the table, it's going to stay pretty bleak until the summer.
No, it's like you just need hope. Like ultimately, like that's all you need is hope. Sir, we need hopium in the mind. But sir, what's your score prediction? Manchester United versus Real Sociedad.
I'm calling 2-1 United. I think United does the deed. Nothing pretty. We're not going to dominate. We're going to make it nervy in ourselves, but I think we have enough quality. And Old Trafford shows up. United shows up, and we get the win. What do you think, sir?
Whew, this could be. They go to penalties. So if we tie,
They go penalties after extra time.
Yeah. But if I'm going to say, draw, penalties, United go through.
Oof, God, nightmare.
Like a long,
We go to penalties.
a long night.
I'll take that. We go to
night.
penalties. We lose. There's no way we beat the Spaniards.
Yeah, but okay. As it relates to the score prediction game, the draw and penalties, we take the total score with the penalties. So I have to pick United win. So I'm going to say United win 2-0 at home just to make it easy, and I don't want us to sweat penalties. So United 2-0 at home. They win, sir. And that is it. That is the podcast. ARD on the road. Recording in the landmark hotel after a hell of a day, hell of a trip up and back. And by the way, European football is amazing, and I really hope we can make it to the quarters, because another big fixture for United, hope for the America Red Devils and all the Reds around the world is what we need. And Amorim needs to focus on results for a little bit. He talked about being pragmatic versus Arsenal. I want us to be pragmatic against Real Sociedad, and I want to win Europa League because we need that money. It's unfortunate, but it's true. That is the status of Manchester United these days.
Yeah, and you know what? If you want to be a hard on the three at the back, I'm cool with it. But just doing the league. The league's already done and dusted. It's but in Europa League, whatever it takes, Jose Mourinho style, pack it in if you have to, count whatever.
He's been told that by the board for sure.
Win this fucking thing. Whatever you do, win this. It's $100 million. We'll give you 10. We'll slice you off a piece. But either way, it's an opportunity to turn this whole thing around. Because you win the Europa League and finish 14th. It's that's not bad. We take it. We take it all day. So great trip abroad. European football is elite. But you know what? The best thing is you go to all those other stadiums. There's a reason Old Trafford's top of the mountain. Even decaying, even making jokes about the pies and pissing the floor in the bathrooms. They could upgrade the bathroom. The in-seat experience is elite. It's top of the mountain in terms of world football.
Well, it's tight.
It's tight.
It's tight.
They make them big in Manchester. They make
the seats are tight. But just Old Trafford, being there is incredible. If you haven't been, you got to go. But you're right. It's going all to the modern stadiums, like the Benfica Stadium, even the Real Arena in Brentford. They're all much newer. They seat less fans, but Old Trafford, something magical about that place. Very special, sir. After going, I don't know how I feel about tearing it down, because I think they're going to replace it with something like we were in, and you don't have that feeling and that vibe that you have at home like we did against Arsenal. So something to think about. ARD, we're wrapping it up here. That's it. That's the podcast. Thanks so much for supporting us. Check out our store, americadevils.store. Check us out on YouTube. Let us know if you're on iTunes or Spotify. Get over there. Let us know you exist. We got to know. Comment below. Like and subscribe for all of our listeners, sir. Support the podcast. Check us out on Patreon. And we'll see you in the next one, sir, as always.
Kick it a blue.